everybody, my name is Alan Beebe and you're joining me at TrueAiki.com. If you're looking at the YouTube website to see this video, by all means please also visit TrueAiki.com and you will find many more articles and things in addition to just the videos. So please go ahead and go on over and do that. If you're watching on YouTube, please push the subscribe button. Thank you to all the people who've done that already. That helps. Today I'd like to do a couple things. It's been quite a while since I've made a video. I'd like to recap once again Tandoku Dosa numbers 4, 5, and 6, and then we're going to get into Tandoku Dosa, the next set of Tandoku Dosa, which are Tandoku Dosa 7, 8, 9, and 10. For this video, I'll just be going over 7. I did a whole video on walking, how we walk when we do our Tandoku Dosa. So I'm not going to go over that again, but it's very, very important because that's what 4, 5, and 6 are really working on, is that walking. It may look like your ordinary style of walking. It is pretty much ordinary walking turned upside down. Most ordinary walking, we go like this. With ours, the force is going like this. This force will come here. This force comes here. And you can tell if you're doing it right by if somebody pushes on you, you should be able to move forward with, if you're doing no opposition at all. And because you're actually using their oppositional force to propel you forward. They'll feel like they're being floated. So if when somebody pushes on you and you walk, you don't feel that way. You feel like I'm plowing through the guy. Even if you can do that, you'll probably feel very strong and powerful as you're doing that. That's not the same kind of walking. Our walking doesn't feel very strong and powerful. It just feels like there's no opposition. So I would go back and look at that again. But I would like to go, I didn't spend too much time on 4, 5, and 6 on the upper body part. I demonstrated it with Ken, but I didn't explain it a great deal. So let me take a few minutes to go over that today. Number 4, it goes cut, cut, turn, cut. Okay? They're very, very simple. You got cut, cut, turn, cut. And the second one is step, cut, turn, cut. And the third one is ski or thrust. Thrust, thrust, turn, cut. All right? The more simple it seems, the more difficult it is to actually do. So that's a confusion that people have. They go, oh, this is really simple. It is simple. It's just very difficult. Okay, let's take a look at the hand motions. On each of the cut, so it's a cut, cut, and then this turn and cut, all right? On the hand motions, I have this triangle here. And when I open and close the triangle, it's as if there's a line between here and here. And that means that this is rotating around its central axis and this is rotating around this central axis. It's very important. Okay? When we do it without a sword, we'll also add on the forearm, there'll be this rotation around the central axis of the forearm. And there's a rotation also around the central axis of the upper arm. And that is very important as well. And later on, I'll show you it becomes more apparent when we get into the Tandoku Dosa 7, 8, 9, and 10. This same axis that we're rotating around here, we're also going to rotate around here as well. So there actually ends up being 3 axes of rotation. For now, let's just make sure that we're opening in this, closing this on a line, okay? So instead of arcing the whole thing, we don't do that. A lot of people do. We don't. This is closing on this line, opening on this line, closing on this line, opening on this line. So I'm here. Here comes my this rotation here, okay? It rotates back, okay? And while I'm doing that, I'm opening and closing this arm on this line. Okay, so there's a lot going on. So this rotation is happening, which we're going to see in our legs on Tandoku Dosa number 7, 8, 9, and 10. I'm also doing the same thing here. Okay, this, most people don't rotate this one. They'll go like this, but they don't rotate this way. Like, just like people will go like this, but they don't rotate this way. We do both. So both are happening. So all 3 are happening to here. And then when I cut down, I don't arc down. When I cut down, it's closing and opening. Okay? And closing and opening. And this same thing here. This isn't arcing this way. This is actually, let's see what I did. So 1, 2. Oh, by the way, if we're empty-handed, we start with our left foot. So 1, 2. If I have a ken, I start with my right foot, puts me on the different side, but that's okay. 1, 2. What people don't see is that this is opening, open, and it's all just straight in front of this line. Open, and close it open. Right? Big difference between that and arcing. Arcing, you will run into force. Opening, closing creates a rotation, and there will be no non-resistance. Won't run into a force. Okay, so also when you're doing your turn here, you want to feel like I'm going, everybody comes up and cuts. I want to feel like I'm coming down and cutting. All right, and I already talked about the back bow in past videos. So that's important. If you get that, then the next one's not too daunting. All I'm doing is 1 full step and coming up here on that full step, and then I'm taking 1 full step and cutting. This end part is the same end part. All right, and then Tandoku Dosa number 6 with the skis is quite interesting, I think. So I'm here. I will always have, there's a connection from my back leg to the opposite arm, connection to the back leg to the opposite arm. So I get to choose. I could be sending this one out. This could be opening, okay? Or this one could be opening. And you could conceivably look like this. This one's opening, but it doesn't appear to be that way. They're both in line with my center here. Okay? And we get that kind of same illusion later on, like when I'm turning, it will look like I'm going like this with my hand, but it's just turning here. It will look like I'm going like this with my hand, but it's just turning here. Okay? Actually, both of them, as far as this is concerned, hasn't really changed. Alright? Very easy to get confused along that. Very important. Alright. So, when I go 1, I'm taking this triangle, we'll say, and I'm going to flip it. Okay? 1. And then I'm going to take this triangle and I'm going to flip it back again. This one's going to flip. 2. Okay? What that means, most people will flip their forearms. That means that they're scissoring their forearms. I'm not doing that. I'm taking the whole triangle, which is on a plane, and I'm flipping the whole triangle, which requires a great deal of mobility and tissue movement, particularly originating from my upper arm. So I'm here, this is flipping, boom. This is flipping, boom. Then this will flip, this just keeps going, okay, to here, and then I do a cut. When you do a cut, most movements you have a choice. You can go opposites, or you can do doubles, all right? You want to be able to do both. Tactically, opposites are usually your best choice, but sometimes we use doubles and it's better to be able to do both. Okay, so that is Tandoku Dosa number 4, 5, and 6, the arms part periodically. Okay, so let's look at Tandoku Dosa 7, alright? It's doing a very interesting thing. It's doing the same thing with the legs that I do with my arms. In a sense, the legs are more important than the arms because they're connected to the ground. They're going to bring the power up from the ground. My hands don't do that unless they're on the ground. But we are doing the same thing, which we talked about when we were doing the squatting. It's as if there is a line between the end and the end here, and it's closing down an opening on that line that creates a node of rotation. There are times when I'm turning like this, and like I said, you got two bones here so they can scissor, so you can get this kind of motion. Same thing in the leg, but the leg is attached to the ground. So if I were to, there's a little bit of motion that you can get, but if I were to turn that a great deal, it would damage my knees. That's not a good thing, right? So you're not going to get this range of motion out of that unless you let it move, and we will actually be letting that move later on. Here's the important part. This part is turning as well. So don't confuse this with this turning. Most people don't turn that at all. This needs to turn. So if I make a plane and describe a plane with my 3 points, the whole shebang needs to be able to move. Okay? And when it's moving, the other part that we have to pay attention to is how it's attached to our body. Let's see if I can get this. See my scapula, pop my scapula. If I pop my scapula, then I can lie to myself and like, look at my incredible range of motion. But I've lost my power because my scapula, which attaches this to my thorax, is now unattached and so my humerus has lost the ability to transfer the power of the thorax through the humerus. So while I'm turning the humerus, I need to make sure that it's maintaining its connection to my thorax. So one way of working with that is to put your back against the wall so that you can feel that your back is flat, your scapula is flat on the back, and then move your humerus. And you'll find out that the range of motion of your upper arm is quite limited if you keep your scapula flat on the wall. And then once you gain that awareness, you need to keep your scapula flat all the time. Some people that won't be a problem for, they just do that, and other people that will be the bane of their existence for a long time, making sure that those scaps stay flat. But it indicates to you your actual range of motion with that attached to your body. Don't go beyond that. Go to the end and ask for more, but staying within that range of, staying with the upper arm continuously attached to your thorax. Don't unattach it. And so that you can become greater and greater, stronger and stronger. You want that combination of range of motion and development of strength in balance with each other. Okay, so let's take a look at our legs. So here I am in my funky hanmi, and you can see the plane described by the triangle of my leg. And when I turn it, a couple things. It's attached to the ground by weight. I'm not going to pivot on the ball of my foot. I'm also not going to pivot on the heel of my foot. So when you see me pivot on the ball of my foot, I'm going to get to the center line here. Actually, I'm going to use this center line. Okay. If I pivot on the ball of my foot, you'll notice that I'm off of the line that my center of mass used to be on. Okay. That can be handy in some cases, but we're not using that in this point. If I pivot on my heel, you'll notice that once again on the other side, my center of mass is shifted off of that line. Could be handy, but in this case we're not doing that. What I am doing is I'm moving this, the toe, and the heel equally in opposite directions. So that's yin-yang, equally in opposite directions, so that I can move around the center of the foot, where my center of mass should be falling. All right? How do I do that? Well, you don't do it from down there, okay? You need to do it by rotating your femur, which is like rotating your humerus. So I take my femur and I rotate it, and that allows me to rotate around the center of my foot. And most people, that will be difficult for. A, maybe because of a range of motion issue. B, oftentimes because of a strength issue. What you don't want to do is put all of your weight on that leg. What you don't want to do is take all your weight off that leg. You're sharing your weight 50-50, because I'm actually doing the same thing with this leg. Now, again, I got a choice. They can do equal and opposite. Actually, equal and opposite is this. But which ends up being doubles, equal and opposite. Or they can do the same thing. Okay? And it depends on what you're after in your movement. I'm going to do double. So they're both going to internally rotate. This one you don't, the back leg you don't see move, because it's already pretty much maximally internally rotated. That doesn't mean I'm not trying to do it. I am. So I go here, okay? So that's your first move with the leg. Maybe we'll come back to, well, we have to come back to the arms when we're looking at Tandoku Dosa number 7, just like we came back to the arms on Tandoku Dosa 4, 5, and 6. And take a look at that. There's a lot going on. But this is very, very important. This is the foundation, right, of which our body is operating off of. So, how does this move? Well, we use the psoas. That motion is caused by the psoas. At the same time, I want to move all the other tissues in concert with that. So this center line, when I do this, is moving. Okay? Not shearing, it's moving. So everything is moving in unison. Okay? So it ends up looking like this. I'll do a double close. So it's moving, and these are going like this. And now I'm going to do double open. It's opening and going like this. Okay? And then for our kata, we our exercise, so that we get both sides equally, we take a step back. So I'll go double close, double open, step back, double close, double open, step back. All right? The other way you can do it is move them in the same direction. And this we do later on, is while this is turning, this is turning. So this is driving both legs, okay? And then I come here. And this is driving both legs, and then I come here. All right? Don't look at my hands, because the hands are doing a completely different thing. Actually, the hands are doing the same thing the legs are when I do this properly. I'm just concentrating on the legs today. So what you'll see the legs doing is opening and closing like this, as opposed to paddling like this. This is not a rotation. This is a rotation. Causes a rotation here and here. There's also the turning down the central axis here. Okay. Yeah. And this allows the force to go through in a spiral. Later on, when I have other people here with me, I'll show you how one would normally attack the knee, because it's the weakest area. If you were running a force linearly, like most people do, it would work. It would ruin your knee. In our case, because there's a spiral of force in the leg, it really doesn't make any difference to me. I don't care, because I don't feel that force. The force isn't going into my leg. It's not affecting my leg. So that's another way of testing whether you're doing it right. Because it's a test, you don't want to find out you're doing it wrong, have your legs screwed up. So it's really important to be doing your tests in a laboratory condition, like in among your friends, where you're training and they incrementally put pressure on and you see how well you're doing. All right? Well, so we covered the hands, our arms for Tandoku Dosa number 4, 5, and 6, and we covered the legs for Tandoku Dosa 7 rather quickly. We'll probably I'll add more when I talk about Tandoku Dosa number 8, 9, and 10 as well, and then we'll look at the arm.